Another WrestleMania weekend has come and gone, and today we continue our discussion on all things WWE in Dallas. Ladies and gents, my name is Ricky Nix, and joining me once again is Steven Spivak.
Howdy.
Welcome back to the show, part 2. And also joining us is Mitchell Pereira. Welcome back, Mitch. So we're going to keep jumping around topics regarding WrestleMania weekend in Dallas, TakeOver, Hall of Fame, Raw, so on and so forth. In our last show, we were talking about the events that happened on Monday Night Raw, which canceled out the events which took place at WrestleMania, i.e. Shane McMahon given control by Vince, despite losing to The Undertaker. I guess the segment involving the women's division, how Natalya is being, I guess, pushed
yeah.
suddenly.
What it seems like being pushed.
And what else did we say? Because there was.
I guess Zack Ryder
Yeah.
losing the
Right,
title.
yeah, let's talk about that too.
All right, let's start there. So, second most shock of the night at WrestleMania for me, Zack Ryder winning the IC title, and then losing it the next night on Raw. Was that just to have a WrestleMania moment for him? What's up with that?
I personally think that the team that writes WrestleMania and decides WrestleMania is a completely different team than writes and decides Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I think it's been seen over the last couple of years. I think there's things that happen on WrestleMania, then the next night on Raw,
It's like
what was the point?
Yeah.
I think WrestleMania is looked at as the show that even if you aren't a wrestling fan, people watch. I think they look at it like the Super Bowl or the World Series. It's like just everybody from every corner comes to watch that show. And I don't think that's the case. And I think they need to stop booking it like that's the case, or that's how they look at it.
Right. Mitch, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think especially with the fact that they had his dad come out and they had like multiple backstage segments about it. They just like hyped it up like, oh my God, like Razor Ramon, I met him after he won his IC title.
Right.
They made it such like this like come up story. And then the next night it just was like, forget that.
Okay.
We want the Miz.
And then he gets a rematch on SmackDown, which he loses.
Right.
So,
also, Vince and Shane. They had this whole build-up about Vince disowning Shane and smashing the father-son picture and the whole Hell in a Cell of Shane wins, he gets control of Monday Night Raw. Shane lost at WrestleMania. And the next night on Raw, Vince gives him control anyway. It's temporary.
As Mitch pointed out in the last show, there's this talk of a brand split.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily agree with, but if that's something they're actually looking at doing, right now it's like, how are we going to get to that point?
Right.
It would have made perfect sense for Shane to win at WrestleMania, take control of Raw, then the Authority be like, well, then we're taking control of SmackDown. And done it there.
That's what exactly
like
it booked itself. It booked itself.
It booked itself. It's exactly.
But it didn't happen that way.
I know. It would have been perfect.
So I guess the Authority is still in control?
I don't know. We haven't seen the
Why does
Authority
Triple H
since
not want his
WrestleMania.
rematch, by the way? Are we just going to talk about that? Like, he just does not want a rematch? The King of Kings just doesn't care anymore?
I think we haven't seen the Authority since WrestleMania. So who knows what's going on? I mean, Vince was just walked out in the beginning of Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania and was like, "This is Monday Night Raw."
Yeah.
There was no sign of the Authority. There was no mention of the Authority.
Right.
Even in Roman Reigns' segment, there was no mention of the Authority. Mm-hmm. It was weird.
Can we just talk about how Roman Reigns came out and just got the house booed off of him? Like,
that was just nothing new.
I know, but like...
Are we talking about at WrestleMania or Raw or both?
Every other day ever?
Yeah.
But I just feel like, do you think they notice that? Do you think they care at all?
Yes,
they
do.
definitely notice.
They definitely care.
They definitely take notice.
I said this off camera before we started rolling. You could hear it through the WrestleMania match. The boos were getting softer and softer, and the awkward chants were getting softer and softer because they were turning the mics down. By the end of the match, when Reigns won, you couldn't even hear the crowd.
Yeah.
And when you got a
They
building,
didn't want you to hear the crowd.
when you got a building that's advertised as 100,000 people and you can't hear anyone,
Yeah.
You know those problems.
they notice.
They notice.
Yeah, they definitely know.
I just wish they would just full out, because they're kind of turning him heel. I don't know what they're doing with this whole I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm just the guy thing.
Yeah.
But like, I wish they would just flat out just have him just take a steel chair to Ambrose and just call it a day. Like, that's what needs to happen for
What do you
Reigns
think
to
of
get
a
over.
Roman Reigns heel turn?
I think if it's something that's going to get him over, why not?
Yeah.
I think
They're booing him anyway.
I think
They're
they
booing
also
him anyway.
need to
Might as
start
well
blurring the
stop
lines between heel and face, because this isn't such a cut and dry thing anymore. This isn't the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah.
It's 2016. We've got people, we've got characters on the big screen like a Deadpool, or we got guys like the Punisher on Daredevil on Netflix who are good and bad guys,
Yeah.
Make the anti-hero thing work.
I think it's what they're going with the, I'm not a good guy, but I'm a bad guy kind of thing they're doing.
I think the closest thing they've come to so far with it, Steve Austin was a huge anti-hero, but like in today's age, the only person I think that really kind of rides that line, but is still predominantly a face, is Dean Ambrose.
Okay.
I don't think there's any other guys that kind of do things that would be considered heel tactics that's considered a good guy, or a good guy doing a
New Day every
Yeah, I was
now
going
and
to say
then.
the New Day
yeah, I
was
think
a
the
bit
New
of
Day
a-
kind
No
of
cheat
rides
to
that
win.
line too. Yeah.
Yeah, they ride the line.
But
as of late, they went from heels to another face team, I guess. What's the deal
I
with
think
that?
you
they're
could
faces.
consider them a face team.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it's still working
Although
out.
you got I was at the Royal Rumble and a lot of people there were chanting "New Day sucks,"
Okay.
and then you got 100,000 people at WrestleMania chanting "New Day rocks."
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on what market they're in.
Yeah.
Really? Because I was at the Rumble too, and I've on my side, they were like, there was a dude with a
It might
horn.
have been the sections.
Yeah.
It could have been.
Because I
yeah.
noticed a lot of sucks chants and a lot of boos from my section.
All right, that's the way it's supposed to be, though,
So
right?
yeah,
Because they
right,
work
so
that way.
I
I think they work both ways, but I'd rather New Day heels.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I think
Heel Day.
I think some guys it kind of rides the line in
Uh-huh.
certain markets and whatnot, because you get Roman Reigns was booed out of the building in Philadelphia, the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Then a year later wins the title and the building explodes.
I
like-
think that was also just because Sheamus was the champion at that point.
It
and
might
was
have been.
like,
It might have been.
Yeah.
Knowing people who were there, it was kind of a surreal situation for a lot of them too.
yeah.
And so
And the fact that it was exchanged on Raw, like that was the first time in years that the
Yeah.
world title switched hands
That's
on
something
Raw.
I do miss on
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw. Titles changing hands, especially the world title.
Yeah.
They used to do that quite a bit, but that was more during the brand split era, right? When
It
did
was,
like,
they
more
happened a lot
often.
in the brand split era.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe a resurgence.
Another thing, AJ Styles loses to Jericho at WrestleMania,
Mm-hmm.
which not too thrilled about, but what can you do? And then he wins a #1 contendership by beating Jericho, right, with the Styles Clash.
beating Jericho
With the Styles Clash.
with the Styles
I'm just
Clash.
happy with
who kicked the same Jericho who kicked out of the Styles Clash just 24 hours prior, but whatever.
I'm just happy they finally ended a match on the Styles Clash because it seemed like they were just making it like some.
Well,
The first
time we saw it was at
Styles
WrestleMania,
Clash.
right?
No,
No,
it's
no,
not.
he
He
used
used
it-
it on
he's-
SmackDown like the second week he was there
Really?
against Curtis Axel.
Yeah, they
missed that.
really
I missed that.
they teased it and then kind of didn't really.
Well,
Oh.
it's kind of hard to figure out why he's not using the Styles Clash as a finish. I've heard reports, I believe interviews, of AJ saying that it's because, guys in the WWE are bigger, and it's harder and it's more of a risk to put them in that move. But then you see it bust out at WrestleMania and the night after. So it kind of looks like they might be saying, hey, AJ, only use this in, big match
matches.
situations.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to figure that out.
So he loses at WrestleMania, then he wins the next night on Raw. Now he's the #1 contender.
It could have been a way just to keep both of them over, like let Jericho win, just because they knew AJ was going to win the next night. It could have just been a tactic to keep them both over.
I think
Did
the
that
other thing
negate what he
was-
said about the two different writers, though?
That
it's all hearsay. It's all theory.
Okay.
I mean, I look at it this way as well. It should have been like AJ had a fire lit under his ass on Monday night, and AJ went out there and it looked like AJ. And there was no, I don't think AJ even had a promo that night. Did he?
No.
he
So
had a
he-
backstage interview, but not.
But
a
he
promo.
didn't, it was nothing that was like, oh, I'm pissed that I lost to Jericho or anything.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been like, AJ was pissed, and he
Right.
went in that match with a new fire, and that should have been what caused him to get that win over Jericho.
Right.
It should have been a thing, and it basically, like other things we've talked about, writes itself.
Yeah. So, my next question. what role does the new title play in the women's division going forward? First of all, renaming it the women's division. So does that mean like the Divas era is over now?
Divas is dead.
Then what does Total Divas become? Total Women?
Yeah,
Can't change Total Divas.
You can't change it, but
We still have that. We still have to live with that, but in the ring.
I think in wrestling in general, it's over, and I think this is like WrestleMania. I was so excited for this WrestleMania because I really did feel like this was going to be a start of a new era in like WWE. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but when it comes to the women's division, I really think it was, because personally for me, the women's match was match of the night. And I think that's crazy to say, because I saw this post and it was like, in 2006, we had a 3-minute bra and panties brawl at WrestleMania. In 2016, we have match of the night for the women's title, which is, I think it's awesome.
I look at it this way. I was at first very iffy on the look of the new title. But then I started to think about it, and I was like, the fact that it's basically the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, it looks identical aside from the color.
Yeah.
Puts it
Except
on
the white.
another level.
Yeah.
It makes it on par with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And albeit the fans tried to hijack that moment on Monday Night Raw
With the chance.
with Charlotte's, ceremony.
Yeah.
It
Wait, so you didn't like the idea of the Charlotte ceremony?
No, I did, but
Okay.
with the fans wanting their Bailey,
Oh yeah.
I had a problem with that.
Yeah, that was rude.
Bailey's
you
time will
know,
come.
And we all love Bailey, and we all believe Bailey deserves her spot. But this was something special. This
That-
was supposed to be a defining moment in the division. And I think, the promo that she tried to give,
Who is Charlotte?
Charlotte, yes, was more of a legitimate promo rather than what we've seen the Divas do previous, or
Yeah.
the women do previous.
I was saying it was more of a shoot.
It was more of an actual promo.
Oh, okay,
It
yeah.
wasn't oh, I'm mad at you. Oh, I'm mad at you. Let's fight.
Yeah.
It was a heartfelt,
Message to the
felt like
universe.
it could have been a main event level thing.
Okay.
And I think that's a step in the right direction, but I still think we're looking at. I think the Divas need to be given more mic time and proper mic time.
Yeah.
To make the division.
Proper storylines.
Yeah. Make it a legitimate thing.
So proper storylines that don't involve the Total Divas show, as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I think you look at the guys and they go out there and they talk about how they spent years and years to get to this point to fight for the title.
Yeah.
And you've had that down in NXT with Sasha and Bailey, talking about how since they were 10 years old, this has been their dream. And you got the look of Sasha's WrestleMania diary through WWE.com.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the women's division needs to be. It needs to feel like it's legitimate. And it needs to feel like less of a joke.
How far do you guys think we are away from a women's match main eventing a pay-per-view?
Aside from Takeover.
Aside from the Takeover.
I still think we're a ways away.
I said it before and I'll say it again, SummerSlam.
It's not gonna happen at
I think
SummerSlam.
if
Do you think
Bailey,
we'll ever see a WrestleMania main event of a women's match?
I think that's a long ways off.
That's a long way
That's
away.
still-
I
long
think
ways off.
that's a ways away.
Yeah. I think I could agree. SummerSlam. If Sasha's got the title and Bailey gets
If
called
Sasha
up,
and Bailey get that chance
I
to
could see
do
that.
what they've done down in NXT on the main roster, amp it up to 11, hell yeah.
I think if they did something like that, it probably wouldn't be one of the big 4 pay-per-views. It'd probably be one of the, I don't want to say filler pay-per-views, but
Well, then does that
Battleground.
not negate the whole purpose?
does it? I don't know.
I think it does. I think that makes the women's division
It would
look.
probably make someone want to watch said pay-per-view that isn't as high of caliber as Survivor Series or, Royal Rumble or SummerSlam. But
I want to see a
Yeah.
women's Hell in a Cell match. That would be
I think the women need to be treated like the guys. I think
Definitely
we need
more mic
more than
time.
one women's match a night.
yeah.
We need more than, the women's matches either being delegated to a pre-show 8-women tag match on the pre-show of WrestleMania, and have more triple threats like we had on the main card.
Let me ask you guys this: would you say that there's definitely a divide? I guess not so much as talent, but It's like you had, what was the 8 or 10 women pre-show match, Team Bad and Blonde versus, Team Total Divas?
Yeah.
And then you had, clearly on a higher caliber, Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky. I guess what I'm trying to ask is, like, would you say that there's like a definite, deliberate divide
No.
in terms of talent?
No.
No?
I say yes.
Because Natalya, let's look at that first match. Natalya, who is, I say, criminally underrated and definitely, what? I see that look on your face.
No, I
What?
completely agree with
Okay,
you.
all right. Natalya, Alicia Fox, who I'm not even that big on. I'm not even big a fan of, but I just got to give her a just due. She's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Naomi, who I thought by now she'd have been champion, as long as she's been in, in WWE. But they're not. I don't know what they're. She had a little taste of a run. The Bellas, I'm not.
Let's
with the
talk
Bellas.
about this 8-women match.
Yeah.
It was for the sole fact so they could have footage for Total Divas.
Yeah, no,
Let's
honestly was.
let's look at it for what it was.
Yeah.
We had Paige in that ring.
Yeah.
We
Paige is
had
good.
Natalya in that ring. We had Naomi in that ring.
They're all good.
And
Just as good, if
the
not
others.
equally as good as Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha.
Exactly.
Great talents.
We
I don't-
saw the debut of Lana in that match,
who put on a pretty
who
good
was
show.
amazing in that
Yeah.
match.
I want to see.
So-
I'm ready to see more of her.
So I think it was a way to just get everyone out there and get footage for Total Divas so that when Total Divas comes to WrestleMania in their season, there's footage for that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think it was a way to kind of give Nikki Bella a chance to come out at the end there and have somewhat of a moment now that Brie is officially
Fan.
retired. And
Is she officially
Is that
retired?
official now?
she said it through Twitter. She's pretty much confirmed it.
Good.
I wouldn't say good.
She was the better of the two, but I'm not gonna. They didn't. Do
I
much
don't
for me.
get why the Bellas get so much hate. I think that's a whole other topic for a whole other show.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of behind the scenes as opposed to on the show. Because yes, like Natalya, for example, behind the scenes, agree, she's awesome, underrated. But like when it comes to the show, she's just so bland to me. And so when you kind
I
of
can see the
bring up
merit in
something
that.
of like a talent divide, like we saw the Charlotte Becky Sasha match the night before. Then we come out and we have Summer Rae in the ring going, Sasha, you suck.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
fight me. And then like Sasha comes out and is ready for a fight and she slaps her and Summer Rae's like gets out of the ring. She's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like
Sasha
it's like
Summer Rae, what a waste.
it's just like I do think there is a bit of there's still a bit of that diva era that's just like, oh, people
Hanging
who
on
are
by a thread.
just
it seems
hanging
like.
on a thread, like what was it, the diva search that they did
Yeah.
years ago? Like there's just a little bit of that, like, oh,
Yeah.
we're just a hot girl who I guess I'm kind of athletic,
And
so
I
put me
think
in the ring.
you're seeing down in NXT, you're seeing women who are being brought in who don't look like stereotypical divas.
Yep.
If we're still kind of in that diva mentality, I think it's going to be kind of hit or miss for a little while.
Yeah. But
It'll fade
it'll
away.
get better.
Yeah.
Next question. Who is deserving next to be in the Hall of Fame and why? Who do you want to see next go in the Hall of Fame? What's a top level guy or gal?
That's a
Who's
whole
missing-
nother show. Jeez.
Probably.
Yeah.
Just pick one person for right now. Who's next? Owen Hart isn't
If
in,
you would
right?
have asked me this question,
Owen Hart isn't in, right?
no.
No, I don't think he's
and
in.
I don't think Owen's ever going to wind up in there.
Ugh.
Although we just got an Owen Hart DVD, so maybe his widow is kind of making or coming to
Strife.
terms
Yeah.
with whatever.
Somebody.
But
Come on.
if you would have asked me this question like 3 or 4 years
Well,
ago,
I didn't.
there would have been a whole list of names. But I think
They're
now
doing
that
pretty
Triple H,
good.
I think now that Triple H is in the front office, and he's making men's with these guys who you've never thought you'd see in the Hall of Fame, or with these families, like a Macho Man or a Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah.
Like,
Michael Hayes just went in, so that
Do they-
he's off that list
they-
now.
Well, yeah, they do Freebirds, so they do teams, right?
yeah.
NWO.
Well, they went
Yeah.
in separately. I don't know if they need to
No,
go in as
but-
a
well,
unit.
Ric Flair went in separately,
Flair
and then
went-
the Four
Flair's
Horsemen
twice.
went in.
Yeah, but it's Flair and the Horsemen.
But either way,
it's the NWO.
Nash and Hall.
You're putting NWO up there with the Four Horsemen?
Yeah.
Okay, sure, maybe.
I think if if we're gonna talk
Well, then Ric
names
Flair
that are,
won't be the only two-time Hall of Famer anymore. You got to talk about
so what?
Scott Hall.
Let's okay. So let's look at the individuals then. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So, I think the Undertaker.
Well, that's coming. We know it's.
I know it's coming.
Wait for it.
But okay, so you want to talk names that are kind
You need
of.
to be in right now.
That's like hard to just spring on me. I gotta think.
I think that's one that takes a little bit more preparation to think about.
Okay, so what we're saying is we're going to make a show out of this.
Yeah, let's make a show out of it.
I'll be honest.
All right, so we'll skip that question for right now. Next question: WrestleMania 32 or Takeover of Dallas? Who did it better?
Take over.
From what
Broad.
respect?
Any perspective? What do you got?
From
What
an
do you got?
entertainment perspective, WrestleMania.
Okay.
It's just, it's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's put
Match
on
card
such a
quality?
from match quality.
Yeah.
For the most part, Takeover.
Okay.
I think when you go entertainment spectacle, it's WrestleMania. It's the grandest stage of them all. But just for 2 hours that had me WrestleMania was like 8, but like just a show that had me in it the entire way, Takeover, Dallas, no question. Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, match of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Candidate at least. They're
Candidate,
probably
but-
not going to give it to him.
Oh my God, I wish they would.
It'll be
would.
NXT match of the year.
It'll
most
be
likely.
NXT
Oh, well,
match of the
yeah, no
year.
doubt, but
You know,
that was that. I've watched it at least 3 times since.
I've
was
seen it
on.
twice.
Yeah, and it's
I'll
awesome.
probably. It's worth watching the third time.
Asuka versus Bailey.
That was a pretty decent match.
was
Let's
good.
talk about the undercards outshining the main events. Let's talk about the main event of Takeover and how kind of disappointing that was.
It was.
It was very.
But I think that came from Joe getting cut early on.
Yeah.
And I think that messed with the pace of the match.
the chants that came from that though were amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
yeah, definitely the match of the night for Takeover, Nakamura.
No doubt.
That tag team match was great.
It was.
American Alpha winning.
the crowd was
Crowd was
Electric.
on fire. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that match?
It was a great match. I don't follow NXT as much as I should. I really do just keep up with the takeovers.
Yeah.
And I just kind of watch, so I know what the takeovers
Okay,
are about.
yeah.
But the match itself was great, and I enjoyed it. And it was a great opener to get the crowd at that level that they needed to be for the rest of the night.
So, last question to take us home. What was the biggest surprise of the weekend for you? Out of the whole thing. What?
Baron Corbin.
Winning the Andre? Yeah, that was mine too.
We recorded our predictions podcast about 2 weeks before the show.
Yeah.
It got lost somehow. I think in your move you lost your hard drive, so
Yeah,
we never
which
put it out.
which I just found this morning.
But we predicted Baron Corbin coming out and being in the match, and I think
not winning it. But
no, I think I was set on that if Corbin showed up, Corbin was going to win. And for Corbin to walk out there and for Corbin to win, I am not a Baron Corbin fan at all. I hate the man.
I know you do.
Baron, I see you, Baron. Where you at, Baron? But that was a moment.
Yeah. NXT guy coming up winning. Now he's on Raw. End of days on Dolph Ziggler. It's great.
That was a moment.
I think my biggest shock of the weekend, honestly, was Bullet Club not debuting.
It's a little premature for that.
It's premature, but I was headstrong
It can happen
on it happening.
soon.
it could happen any moment.
AJ's
It could
in the
happen,
main.
right here, right now.
Yeah.
They could come out.
Right.
Yeah, that was because I was dead set. Like they are coming out. It is happening.
Definitely
But it didn't.
Biggest shock for me. I already said Baron Corbin winning, but before that happened, definitely Zack Ryder.
Oh,
winning
yeah.
the
Oh,
without a doubt.
I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Shock of the night. Then here comes Baron Corbin. And that was the new shock of the night.
I was surprised at how great the main event of WrestleMania was.
What?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
We still didn't even talk about The Rock.
Oh yeah, the Rock. I was
was
surprised that
It
John
was a
Cena
cool-
came out,
was
but
a
it
nice
wasn't.
I think it was just an attempt to break another record, but they tied it because it was a 6-second match and.
Yeah, they
something
did
like
tie
that.
it. And they lied about the attendance numbers.
Oh, did
As they always
Yep,
do.
it was like 94,000. They made a
broke their
WrestleMania
fake.
record, but they didn't make 101,000 people in that building.
They broke their
Well, you
fake
get it.
record.
It was an interesting segment. We all knew Cena was going to come out and it was going to be something. I didn't bank on The Rock wrestling, but it was a
Did he
6-minute
really
match.
wrestle, though?
It was a 6-minute
Like-
match. He had a match. It
Buried
counts.
the Wyatts.
It
It's
counts.
okay.
Yeah, what's going on with the Wyatts, man? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
Another day, another show.
a show
Another day,
itself.
another show. So yeah, definitely we got to come back for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
we'll do a
Absolutely.
show about that as soon as we can. But I want to thank Mitch and Steven for joining me on this episode of DG Live, talking about WrestleMania weekend in Dallas. Once again, as always, I'm your host, Ricky Nix. We'll see you guys next time.